The next one that I picked was Mr. Crowley. So, Mr. Crowley, boom, boom, boom. That one is pretty obvious who that's about, right? That, my friends, is obviously about Aleister Crowley. Hello, beautiful souls. Today, I'm going to do something a little bit different, but something that feels deeply personal to me as both a musician and a spiritual seeker. As many, I'm going to say many of you have probably heard that we just lost a legend, Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness himself. He passed away yesterday. And like many of you, his music has been a powerful part of the soundtrack of my life. I grew up with it. I performed some of his music, but most of all, I also performed with the energy of what he represented to a lot of us. Again, whether you're a musician or you're just spiritual, that energy vibrated through me. It still does. I've written songs of my own that I believe owe something to the path that he helped carve out for a lot of musicians who were never afraid to push boundaries and to walk the edge or to transform pain into power. But this isn't just a tribute to Ozzy's music. This is also a spiritual reflection. Hence, you can see my tarot cards here. Because for me, music is frequency. It's a vibration that shapes us. It heals. It also distorts. It awakens. And it mirrors the shadow and the light within us. Ozzy's music did that. It did all of that, loudly and unapologetically, and with a rawness that many of us in the spiritual and mystical communities can relate to. So in this video, I've selected 10 of Ozzy's most iconic songs. Well, to me, they were. And songs that I feel speak to different aspects of the human journey. From the darkness that we face to the moments of clarity and transcendence that we find in the chaos. So for each song I've chosen a tarot card, actually a few different tarot cards, and from different some different tarot decks that I think kind of represent the distortion that I'm speaking of, like the Bonfire and Tarot by Gabby Angus West, I think is a perfect representation of what I'm trying to show here. The next one is my Corrupted Tarot by Wormwood. It's a little dark, so, I will, give you better views of the cards. But this deck is absolutely beautiful. And then just the Rider-Waite-Smith, just to give you the full representation for those that work with the Rider-Waite-Smith. And I think that, the energy, and the archetypes are reflected here. This is my way of honoring Ozzy, the artist, the myth, the madman, and the magician that was Ozzy Osbourne. May he rest in peace, and may his soul continue to echo through the chords of our lives. So let's dive in. I have some notes here. So like the first song that I picked is Crazy Train. I've actually performed this song on stage with a few different bands. And so, I mean, I pretty much know the lyrics by heart. But if you, like a synopsis or a breakdown of the song, it reflects fear and anxiety surrounding the Cold War era. So it's like it's mirroring our own anxiety when we see like what we see on the news today. It's very much, you know, or what we hear going on around us. It's the potential for global awareness. You know what I mean? It brings it's kind of what we're dealing with when we see all the stuff going on. And Crazy Train, it's like if we don't know, if we can't look at it in an optimistic way, sometimes this is what happens. And the Nine of Swords is all about, you know, that it's anxiety, it's bad dreams, it's what we go through when we don't know how to handle things that we're hearing. And Crazy Train absolutely feels like that to me. If you're not familiar, I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. You know, mental wounds not healing, driving me insane. It's heirs of a Cold War. That's what we are. You know what I mean? It's wow. And then I also, you know, we can see that very clearly in these images. But here's another card that I thought really kind of represents this whole situation also. I mean, because Crazy Train represents kind of where we are right now in the world if we are looking at it from a pessimistic view or just a realistic view, you know. Perception is everything, really. But the Tower, you know. So we want to, but the Tower is kind of also like breaking down the establishment and building something new, you know, understanding that we can't get too comfortable in our infrastructure because it can be destroyed at any minute. And sometimes I wonder if that's not a good thing. You know what I mean? So I went through again and I picked these 10 songs just because they represent something. One, a tribute to Ozzy, and two, I think we all can relate to the distortion of everything we want to be and the struggles we find ourselves in to get there. So that was Crazy Train. I'm actually going to, I think we'll probably be seeing these cards again because Ozzy Osbourne has plenty of songs that kind of are about, I don't even know why I said that. They are about struggles. The next one that I picked was Mr. Crowley. So, Mr. Crowley, boom, boom, boom. That one is pretty obvious who that's about, right? That, my friends, is obviously about Aleister Crowley. And I think that Ozzy was just very curious, you know. He was writing, and I'm not sure if those... Yes, it says that Ozzy Osbourne did write the lyrics. So, but the song itself is like, you know, who are you, Mr. Crowley? But it definitely, you know, he asks him if he talks to the dead. He wondered if he was pure. He wondered about his intentions, pretty much. So I think that this really, obviously I grabbed the Thoth, the Magus. I think that, you know, Mr. Crowley himself was a magician, and he had his, you know, quirks about him. And I feel like Ozzy did too. you know. But Ozzy, I don't know if you'd ever been to a concert, but he held the crowd like this. And, you know, obviously till his last moments that he was on the stage with his return with Black Sabbath, it was all about us. You know what I mean? He did everything for us. I mean, it felt that way to me. I don't know how many times I would watch him walk off the stage, and even after he'd done the encore, he wanted to come back again, you know? I mean, because he just, yeah. Even when he was old and frail, he was still wanting to be on that stage for us. And yeah, I definitely can see him as the magician. And it's so, I don't know, fitting that he wrote a song about Aleister Crowley. I just love it. All right, the next one is, I'm going to sing some of the lyrics and see if you get it. The light in the window is a crack in the sky. It's the first line. No more tears. That song, talk about distortion, is really about a serial killer. And so I picked The Hermit, and actually, like, these two kind of represent it, but really it's The Hermit in reverse, because it's speaking of someone who has isolated themselves for all the wrong reasons, you know. And it's a very distorted view. It's someone who's closed themselves off because they have either lost touch with reality, or, you know, they're just so broken that they can't deal with reality. And the messages that they're receiving are distorted. So yeah, and, you know, I invite you to, you know, check this out, pick 10 songs and do the same thing, because I think that it would be very interesting to see what cards you choose that kind of represent a message in maybe some of Ozzy's songs. And I think it's a great tribute. So yeah, this is what I picked for No More Tears by Ozzy Osbourne. The next song that I picked is Bark at the Moon. And I picked the Seven of Swords. I actually picked a few different cards, but I picked the Seven of Swords because, I mean, the song is about a werewolf who's killed, and he comes back for revenge. You know, so he feels like something was taken from him, which obviously he was killed, and he's like, bark at the moon, you know. I mean, yeah, so I mean, but it's also a song about revenge, you know, so he's taking back what he thought he lost. And of course, you know, the moon kind of represents that, you know. And in my Wormwood's Corrupted Tarot, there's the beast in the mirror, you know. I think that's funny. But the moon, you know, that's like, sometimes the things that are hidden can drive us a little crazy, right? And then obviously I think this, you know, again, I just parked mainly because, you know, we're talking about a werewolf and barking at the moon. So I thought this was appropriate. But it's also a twisted sense of justice, right? It's revenge. You know, it's that twisted sense of justice. And I also think it's, you know, taking the reins of something, but again, for all the wrong reasons. It's like, it's a big, what are you moving forward for? What are you marching for, you know? So I feel like the chariot also kind of represents that too. you're not really taking charge. You're let something else is driving your bus, and that's revenge. So I thought that would be appropriate, but I think this is probably my favorite. It represents it the most. So it would probably be the Justice, distorted view of justice, and the Seven of Swords, really, I think. So I would definitely like to know what you think about that. The next song I picked is A Shot in the Dark. And I'll read some of the lyrics to you. It's like, I need a pick-me-up, a rolling thunder truck. I need a shot of you, a tattooed lady wild, like a mountain ride. I got a hunger, that's the loving truth. You got a big night coming and a long night pumping. You got the right position, the heat of the transmission. A shot in the dark. Make you feel all right. A shot in the dark. All through the whole night. A shot in the dark. Yeah, electric sparks. A shot in the dark beats a walk in the park. And really, like the whole song, I think, shouts, you got to have courage to overcome your inner demons. And it takes strength. And so I left it upright because strength comes in many forms, and strength means many things to us. And we might be fighting our own inner demons more than we are anything that anyone else can do to us. And so a shot in the dark means to just, take that risk, take that leap of faith, because sometimes that's the courage you need to get through. And it feels good when we empower ourselves and we take that leap of faith sometimes. And we just pile through it. So this, to me, spoke of the message of a shot in the dark. I would like to know what you think. What card do you think would represent that song? And obviously, if this, tempts you to look up the music of Ozzy Osbourne, then please do. Okay, the next song, and I bet you're having deja vu, that I picked is Flying High Again. And even though you might think, let me sing a little bit for you. It says, oh no, here we go now. I got a crazy feeling I don't understand. Gotta get away from here. And I know you're recognizing this. Mama's gonna worry. I've been a bad boy. No, you're saying sorry. It's something that I enjoy. It's flying high again. Yeah, I skipped some lyrics, but anyway, I know you know the song, and more than likely because of copyright issues, I would get strikes for playing it. So I'm gonna find a way to put something in here but I just figured, bear with me and torture you with some singing without music and all that, blah blah blah. So anyway, back to the song. You might think that Flying High Again, and I'm sure I did at one point, is about, some type of drug abuse or just, flying high again on something else. But it was written right after Black Sabbath had let him go, had kicked him out, and he found himself back on top again. So, he had that, wait a minute, he had the rug pulled out from underneath him. But then, just like, the Phoenix, he had a rebirth. And so I also picked the Death card because something was done, no more, but yet something good came of it. And I feel like the Tower represents that anyway. It's a breakdown of something that wasn't really serving at that point in time, because we know that he did that, reunion show before he left this plane of existence. But here he is singing about, okay, this I didn't let it get me down, which takes that strength again. There's so many cards that I could use to represent it, but I picked these just to, you know, share my thoughts. All right, the next song I picked is I Don't Know. And the one thing that I really love about Ozzy's lyrics is that, you know, he might be talking about a specific situation, but he would equate it to something greater than, you know, so there were many parallels of things that he could have been talking about. But this was a song that was about when he was first kicked out of Black Sabbath. And it was like he couldn't understand, you know, and he said, don't ask me, I don't know. But he's like, people come to me and they ask me, is this the end? Is this the end of the world? I mean, we can see that today too, right? What does it cause? It causes confusion. So not so much opportunity. It's kind of the distorted view. There's a lot, like too much going on and hard to make sense of, right? So I picked the Seven of Cups for that. But I also picked the moon again, because I think that the moon represents things that we don't understand that are also hidden, and what it does to us, you know. It again, it's those inner demons, or we might even assume something that we don't know, and then the assumption might cause distortion. And so along with that, I also picked the Eight of Swords, because not knowing or maybe refusing to see something can cause a lot of anxiety also, or like a prison of our own making. So yeah, again, I would really love to see what you think about that. When somebody goes through something and they don't understand, I don't understand why this is happening to me. I feel like these cards kind of represent that. So the next song that I picked is Road to Nowhere. And it starts off, I was looking back on my life and all the things I've done to me. I'm still looking for the answers. I'm still searching for the key. The wreckage of my past keeps haunting me. It just won't leave me alone. I still find it all a mystery. Could it be a dream? The road to nowhere leads to me. I feel like that's the fool's journey. And I definitely wanted to add in Thoth's Fool, because I feel like this represents the world and the fool with understanding life and still moving forward with that same sense of the fool. You know what I mean? I really feel like it's almost like the fool is the cosmic egg, but it's also the world. I don't know. I just feel like this card really represents like a savior, which is what it's recognizing our own potential, and working through life. But so along with that, I also picked the World card, because yes, even with the struggles, it still leads back to you. You are the world. You are everything that you go through. That's it. That's why we're here, right? I mean, and I feel like the road to nowhere, because really what is it? What is it? We're here to experience. I mean, these are just my opinions, but I mean, it talks about a mission, but I mean, it's not really understanding your mission until you experience it, right? It's like wisdom is applied knowledge. And so I just think that these cards represent that. The song, The Road to Nowhere, leads to me. It leads to you. And it is the fool's journey in the entirety. And I just freaking love it. I just love it. Voices. 1,000 voices. This song is called See You on the Other Side. Whispering the time has passed for choices. Golden days are passing over. Yeah, I can't seem to see you, baby, although my eyes are open wide, but I know I'll see you once more. This song is definitely about death. And so it's not the rebirth that I was talking about earlier. This is about an ending, but seeing you on the other side. I could have definitely picked the High Priestess for this too, because it's saying, you know, it's talking about beyond that veil, you know. And he knows that he's going to see that person again. And I just think that's beautiful. Yeah. And I don't really want to, you know, say anything else. Just that, wow, right? Wow. And where he is now. Yeah. So appropriately, the last song that I picked has quite a few different cards. And I will explain why. So the last song that I picked to draw some cards for, or not draw, pick some cards for, of course, is Mama, I'm Coming Home. You know, it starts off with, you know, times have changed and times are strange. Here I come, but I ain't the same. Mama, I'm coming home. This song is about addiction and overcoming it to come home to Sharon. So I picked the devil because, you know, the devil is that sometimes we imprison ourselves because of our own thoughts, and sometimes it's hard to break free from that, right? So yeah, I picked the devil, but I picked a few other cards too because the song was written for Sharon. And, you know, I'm not going to act like I know that story because I don't. That story is theirs. But do I feel, am I inspired by the love that they had? And do I think that it was great? Yeah. And so I also picked the Lover's card because I feel like there was a soul connection there. There was lessons to be learned. There was a type of contract there, you know, and again, I'm not gonna speak on anybody's assume to know what is anybody's heart. This is just me on the outside looking in. And that song is about coming home to Sharon after all of that. So I also picked the Emperor because I think this represents Ozzy, but, you know, having a life where he wasn't always in control. You know what I mean? And the only time he had that semblance, I think, was on stage when he's writing and he's channeling everything that he's been through his music. You know, you can never control how the media sees you. You just can't. And I was just talking about it yesterday about the whole bat situation and how that was an accident. You know, I mean, he would bite the heads off of rubber bats, and then one time he gets a real bat, which who in the heck, how does that happen? How does that happen? But once he had done it, he was like, oh my goodness. And, you know, I mean, it was iconic event for him because that's how a lot of people associated him as, oh, he's that guy that bites the heads off bats. But I mean, it was, you know, I could say that I think he probably lost control a lot. So I picked the Emperor. And then I also picked the Hierophant because I think that his songs are meant to teach. And a lot of times they were about the establishment. You know what I mean? I feel like not always is the message coming from like wisdom that is sometimes, you know, our thoughts are not compartmentalized very well. You know, so it's hard to teach from that place. You know, sometimes we're trying to teach from that place where we're not at our best. But then other times it is from wisdom, and it resonates so deeply with each of us that, you know, sometimes it's something that helps us to feel not alone. So the guidance is perceived from the, you know, us. You know, it's how we take it, and is it something that that guides us or not. But I do feel like that's a lot of, you know, we as creators, and that's what we are. No matter what we're creating, we create from whatever place we're in, and sometimes it guides other people. Sometimes it's just a reminder that we're not alone. And then the last card that I picked, and it is because I feel like their relationship was kind of in the media, and I could feel that struggle. I mean, they put their lives on camera for a long time. Sharon! So I did pick the Two of Cups because I feel like there's always that lesson. Sometimes even the most difficult relationships, it's like it is to teach you a lesson of sorts. It's you make the contract because of the lesson that is going to come from it. Not always does it end well, but it's something that you felt was necessary, you know, because of where you're going to land on the other side. And yeah, I really don't have a whole lot more to say. Just that I will miss you, Mr. Ozzy Osbourne. And I think that you still are a legend. And I hold him up there with the greats that have passed before. And I didn't come to the tarot community till after certain people had passed, or you probably would have seen something like this then too. I know that my channel is older, but I didn't really start creating content till like 3 years ago. But I mean, Chris Cornell was one that when he passed, I went into mourning because I adored him and I adored what he stood for. And yeah, Prince, another one. I mean, I still think about him a lot and play his music. Music is my love language. So yeah. So I just want to leave you with this. One, thank you for walking through this tribute with me. I know it was a little quirky, and I hope you join in. But song by song and card by card, you know, I felt called, I guess. So this was, to me, more than just a look at a musician's legacy, obviously. It's a reflection of something deeper, you know, about frequencies and how they shape who we are. Ozzy Osbourne wasn't just a rock star. He was a force. I guess I should have gotten the star card out because I could see that, you know. He was a vibration, a living embodiment of shadow work. I mean, really, rebellion, survival, and just the rawness of transformation, which, you know, that could bring us back to this this card right here, you know. Very transformative, and he really his music was about the stage of life and the things that we feel on that big stage, you know. So in his growls and his wails, in every lyric, even soaked in madness or clarity, there was truth, and a truth that resonated with generations of us. And I feel like it never failed to fit the mold. He gave voice to the misunderstood, and in doing so, he left behind more than just music. He left a frequency. And frequency never dies. So whether you're a fellow musician, a spiritual seeker, or someone who's ever been moved by the sacred distortion of a power chord, may you carry this energy forward. Keep creating, keep questioning, and when the world gets too loud, don't be afraid to turn it up. Rest in power, Ozzy. You shook the veil, and now you walk beyond it. Until next time, stay mystical, stay loud, and stay true. And I'm also going to say it, you already know. Stay in tune. I would like to say that if you are a tarot reader, a music lover, or just someone who felt Ozzy's energy in your bones, I invite you to join in. Create your own tribute, but maybe use this hashtag. I'm still deciding on what it is, but it'll be in the title. And share what his music meant to you. Through cards, maybe even through memories, energy, or sound. But let's keep the vibration alive for a little bit, So that's it. I want to say thank you again for hanging with me. And till next time, my friends, I'll see you in the next one. And I love you.